Hi guys, welcome once again to my channel where I talk about Power Platform and other related technologies. So today we are going to be talking about an interesting topic. So where you can collect form responses with attachments from external users to SharePoint. This is an interesting topic which I would like you to follow as we go through it. So first off, let me just explain the scenario. So the scenario is when you are trying to get some responses from certain users that are outside of your organization. You want them to submit some responses, and then it also requires you to have it requires them to have some attachment as part of the information they are submitting. So what we are going to do here is getting the form, creating a form, getting the information from the form through Power Automate with the attachments and the details, and then putting the details and the attachments into SharePoint. So let's see how we can do this. So if you are familiar with Microsoft, I think from what I explained, the first software that comes to your mind, or the first solution that comes to mind, is Microsoft Form. So which allows you to collect responses from either internal or external users. However, it has its own challenges. So what are the problems? So the problem with this is that attachments are unsupported in Microsoft Forms for anonymous responses by default. So which means when you're trying to share a form with external users, by default you can't attach documents. So, and I'll show how that works. Yeah, so this is an example of a Microsoft Forms I've created. So it has the full name, email, and all of the likes. So we also have documents, right? So which means I can preview this form. I have all of the details, and I can upload a file which I can share with other users as well. However, the challenge comes when I'm trying to share it with external users, which is the option where we have anyone can respond, right? So when you have a document or an attachment as part of your field, then you are unable to share with anyone, which is external users. So if I come here now and I delete the document field, then you can see that I'm able to share this back with anyone, right? So the challenge here is, and if I try to add back the document, you see it's grayed out. So this becomes a challenge when you're trying to get documents from external users. There is a way you can go about this, which I'll also go into very shortly. But let's see what are our alternatives. So some alternatives. The first alternative, which is still Microsoft Form but with external user access. So which is where you can contact your admin to give external access to users, where and then they are able to upload documents. However, this also has its own challenges, which is security concerns regarding sharing external access with your users, and then it's also a tedious experience for the users, whereby they have to you have to send an invitation link for them, they have to sign in and all of that before they are able to do that. So this becomes quite tedious. Another alternative is Power Pages, which also has its own challenges. Power Pages can actually help us solve this problem, but then doing this, at least for a developer, the coding knowledge, you need to understand HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, which may be required to achieve this. Also the licensing cost, because Power Pages is not cheap, so that also brings a concern of, okay, do I want to go with Power Pages or not? Another alternative is Google Form and App Scripts. So I learned about this recently on how you can also use Google Forms using Google App Scripts to pass the information from the Google Form to Power Automate. There is a video by Esther which I would like you to also check out if you are considering this particular option. And here is the video which talks about how you can bring your information from Google Forms, bring it using Google App Script, connecting it to Power Automate, and then uh, using your Power Automate to put the information on SharePoint. I'll also drop the link to this video on in the comments and in the description rather, and you can also follow Esther um, to see more around this video. So back here, what are the concerns we also have regarding this? So the coding knowledge, as you can see from the video, that it also requires some knowledge of JavaScript to write the coding and all of that, and also data security concerns, which is, do I want to put my information, passing it through different platforms from Google to Microsoft and all of that. So some people might not be so comfortable having their information on different platform. I mean, if it's Microsoft form, it's understandable because it's still within the Microsoft ecosystem. But when it comes to Google, that means you are transferring that from Google to Microsoft. But I mean, if it's an option you are considering, you can also go ahead. So now this will bring me to the option which I am proposing today, and that is using Power Automate's single web page form. And just to be clear, I would like to give a shout out to Matthew Devani and Paul Morana on this. So I saw an article from Matthew just about a week or two ago where he talked about this, and I mean he also attributed that Paul Morana had already discovered this, which he kind of built on, and I am also building on what Matthew had already built. So I'll just advise that you also go through the article from Matthew. So here is the article. I'll also drop a link to this in the description. So this talks about how you can create this single web page, this web page application using your Microsoft form, and he has a contact form experience example here. So you can go through this. This is Matthew. I follow his blog very well, and also we have Paul Morana, who initially discovered this as well. He also has some very nice articles, and he has a YouTube channel. Follow him and go through his comments. I also follow some of his videos and blogs as well, which has helped me in the past. So I will advise you guys go through that. So yeah, back to what we are trying to do today. So I'm going to just build on what Matthew has done here, and I'm going to, so I won't go into much of the details of how this was done. So this has already explained most of the parts you need to know. So once you go through this, I'll just explain the additions that I've made here. Yeah, so this is the form that I've created using Matthew's approach. So this is a kind of form that is created from Power Automate. If you go through the article, you understand how this was created. So we have this field. I've made some additions, obviously, which I would also go through. So what happens here is you have a field. We have your fields where you can put in all of the form, the details that you need. So external users can come in here to fill whatever information they need to fill in, and put in their name, email, phone number, date of birth. So for the date of birth, I'll select this, gender, you can put whatever comment, and then for the document, which is the most important part that we're explaining today, you have the option to attach documents, and then once that is done, I can submit, and it shows me that my form has been submitted successfully. So this action then triggers another flow, which brings that information from the form to SharePoint. So let's see if that flow runs successfully and if this has been created on SharePoint. Okay, the information I created has been created on SharePoint now. So if I open this record, I can see that I have all of my details. I have the attachment as well, which I can view here. So as you can see, these are the two documents I attached, and I can view them here. So this is how we do this. So I'll just walk through the flow a bit. So this is very similar to what you would read on the article by Matthew. uh, I'll show the few additions that I've made here. So same thing, this flow is triggered from an HTTP request. I have the link to my other Power Automate that is being triggered from that page, and then I have my HTML, CSS, and JavaScript here, and then which I have the response. So the article already covers this, and then I also have this as well, which is the other flow that is being triggered, where my file is being created on SharePoint, I mean the record and the attachment. So this is triggered whenever I submit from that page, and then pass JSON, which I already have, which has the schema of my response, right, which includes the document as well, which comes as an array because I'm using multiple files. In your own case, it might also be a single file. And of course, I create my item, and I have this option which now allows me to add the attachments. So I have this action to add attachments, and then I'm looping through the array that is coming from my response, which I have in the pass JSON here, so which is coming from my form, and I'm looping through each of these items in the array, and I'm using that to create a file. So I have the file name, and I have the file contents where I'm using base64 to binary to convert it to binary, because the file is returned in base64 format. So I'm converting it using the expression of base64 to binary to convert it to a binary, which is a readable file on the SharePoint. So that's all I'm doing here. So I won't go much into the details, like I said, because the article already explains a whole lot about how all of this is done. So the only addition I have here is where I'm putting this attachment, I'm passing it back to my SharePoint. So just to walk through the code a bit, so I actually copied the same code from Matthew, just changed a bit of a few things like the gender, changing this to comments, and then we have this line 50 to 53, which shows how you had the attachment. So I'm using multiple here. If you remove this, it will allow you to just put a single file, right? And then I have, so you can see that if you notice, while I was selecting the date, it also allows me to it prevents me from selecting a future date, because I'm selecting date of birth, right? So all of those validation, with JavaScript. And I also have this where I'm creating my attachment and I'm looping it through it, right? I'm pushing that into an array. Then I have this function that helps me to convert each of the attachments to base64, right? So which I'm sending back to Power Automate. Also, I included that that document as part of the information I'm sending back to my Power Automate here. So that's all of the changes I'm making, from the code here. Okay, that's how you get documents from external users using the Power Automate single web page form. Yes, it also has its pros and cons. So one of the pros is that it's more flexibility with the UI, of course, because you are using your CSS, JavaScript, and all. You can customize it as much as you want, the design and all of that. Advanced form validation. There are some validations you don't have on Microsoft Forms that you may need to include, just like the date of birth one that I showed, where you can select only previous date. You can select a future date. I don't think you can do that on Microsoft Forms. Advanced form logic, of course, Microsoft Form also has something called branching, but it's not as advanced. It still has some limitations, but with your JavaScript and all, you can create whatever logic you need on your form. Also, file upload, which is what we just explained, obviously. And some of the cons that I've seen here is also that they increase flow runs, right? So the first flow triggers every time that first page is opened, so which means it will cost you more flow runs, and it shouldn't be much of a problem if you are not expecting so many external users, but it can become a problem when you have several external users, running it every single day, right? So that's a bit of concern. Okay, so that's about the first one. The second one is that it also requires some bit of knowledge, um, which is HTML, CSS, JavaScript knowledge that you may need to write the code for the page that I just showed. But this also, you could use ChatGPT to write something and tell it to design some of the codes I also wrote. I asked ChatGPT to add a few things. Of course, I understand HTML, CSS, JavaScript, but it made it easier for me, and I was able to get up to speed with that. So if you had, I mean, I would also drop a link to the code that I used here, so you can always modify it to your taste. The unfriendly URL. So if we go back to the form, you'll agree with me that this URL might look very unfriendly and very long. So, but of course, there is also an alternative to this, which is you could host your link on a different site. There are some free sites where you could host it if that's not a problem. But yeah, these are some of the cons that I've noticed, at least from my little experience using this. So I think that's all for today from my end. Thank you for watching up to this point. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know if you have any thoughts or any questions around this. Looking forward to seeing you in my next video. Thank you and bye for now.